Hey guys, I'm out in the shop today. I was outside screwing around outside in the woods, and I came in and I thought, well, you know what, we'll do a little project today just for the heck of it. And it's going to be something very, very simple. And I found this round tin and got a nice lid on it. It fits kind of tight. Actually, it fits real tight, which is good. That's what I want. But it comes off there pretty easily. But yeah, nice tight fit on it. I wouldn't say it's a waterproof fit, but it's definitely close. But anyways, so we got this tin here, and we're going to make a flint and steel kit. And I have a flint and steel kit, but I wanted one that was a little bit bigger that I could actually throw in my pack, in my bigger pack, and it would be something that I could really carry a lot more charged material in and stuff like that. So I decided to go with a tin about this size, and I really don't know if I have a tape measure here or not. Actually, I don't. But I would guess this to be, maybe 4 or 5 inches across, and just a round tin. So first thing we got to do is I took a torch and I kind of burned it a little bit, try to burn some of the paint and stuff off of it. But first thing we're going to do with this thing is we're going to drill a hole right through this tin, right through the side of it right here. And you could punch a hole through it with a hammer and nail, just real lightly punch it, or you can drill it. Easier way would be to drill it, because you can drill through both at the same time. If you punch it, you're probably going to have to take it apart and try to punch it and line up the punched holes, and because these holes, this hole has to line up going through both pieces. So let me go ahead and set up, and I'll drill the hole in here, and I'll show you why it has to line up. Okay, so I got my drill press set up, and you could do this with a hand drill too, very easily. I just happen to have the press, so I'm going to use it. And I got just a 1/16 drill in here. All I want is a big enough hole for the gas to escape out of. I may go a hair bigger, but for right now we're just going to use the 1/16 and see how that does. So you just turn the drill press on, and I don't get too fancy about it. I just line it up. And drill a hole there. Just got a tiny little hole in it right there. And next thing you gotta do is, after you drill a hole, sometimes there's a burr on it, so you gotta try to get the lid back off, which this came off pretty easily. So I will clean that hole up, deeper the back side of the holes, and make sure they're both going to be okay. So that'll be the next thing. Okay, so I'm just taking a little piece of emery cloth and just sanding over the hole, just cleaning up the burrs on the inside, outside, everything on the hole. So once you get that done, then what you've made is you've made the breather hole for your kit. And let me see if I can get this so you can see it a little better. You've made the breather hole for your kit. You got this hole here and this hole here, and when you put them together, you should be able to spin it around until it lines up, which that's it right there. So now when you're charring material inside this tin, the gases can escape through this tiny little hole. And when you're not charring materials, you just take this lid, turn it 180 degrees and put it on, and now your kit's still waterproof, because you got the bottom hole on this side and the upper hole on this side. So now the water still can't get in there. So basically now your tin's done. Now all we need to do is make the fire steel for it and find a piece of flint or anything harder than, I think, hardness scale of 7, so quartz would work, stuff like that. But I happen to have flint because I'm a flint napper, so that's probably what I'll use. So let me go ahead and show you how we're going to make the striker. Okay, so the whole idea of this whole series is that I wanted to make a flint and steel kit that anybody could make at home. I mean, a really very simple one. I went ahead and we found the tin. I think it was given to me by somebody, and I drilled a hole into it, which, by the way, I went ahead and decided to enlarge the hole to an 1/8 inch because I figured that if I wanted to make this hole a little bit smaller, I could always twist this lid on this tin a little bit and block the hole off a little bit more, which is something to think about because you could probably go bigger than 1/8 inch. You could still twist that tin a little bit one way or the other and cut off the air to go into the hole. So anyways, I went with 1/8 inch. That way I could go ahead and just use it the way it is. And that's all I did to this tin, other than I burned off all the labeling and stuff on it. And I'll probably do that one more time before I even try to make tin out of it, because I noticed it was making a funky smell. So I don't know if that burning label would get into your char and screw it up or not, but I'm not going to take a chance, because chances are I probably going to do this in the house in my fireplace, so I really don't want that smell in the house anyways. So the tin's done. So now we need a striker, and I was thinking let's make the striker out of something that's very easy to get, that anybody could get, and anybody could do it at home with a hand grinder or a bench grinder, or anything like that. So what I came up with is just, I had this old broken file, and being that this isn't much of a kit, it's just a small kit, we only need about this much of the file. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take the grinder and I'm going to score it here on this side, flip it around and score it on this side, and then I'm going to put it in the vise. I'm going to clamp right below my score and snap it. So let me go ahead and do that next. Okay, so I'm over here at the grinder, and I'm going to go ahead and just take this file and put the edge of it right on the grinder. Just put a mark on here and then flip it around, put a mark on it in here. And one thing you want to remember is you don't want to get this file hot. So if you got to grind a little bit and then set it down and let it cool, or dip it in water, that's fine. But if it gets too hot to where you can't hold it, that's no good. You want to be able to always keep it cool enough to where you can hold it in your hand. Otherwise you'll screw up the temper of the file, and then you won't get very good sparks. So let me go ahead and do this real quick. Really, that's all I want, is just to make a little mark in it, so that it basically makes it the weak part of the file, and I can still hold it in my hand. It's not hot at all. So now I'm going to turn it over, do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I got both sides scored, and now I'll put it in my vise and I'll clamp it right here, and I'll hit it with a hammer and snap it off. But first, I'm going to take care of some of this sharp end. Like I said, you want to be careful. It's really cold out today. It's like 12 degrees, so the metal doesn't get that hot anyways that quick. But if it's so hot that you can't touch it, then it's too hot. So you want to keep it cool. So I just grind a little bit and then leave it set. I would have water out here, but my water thing froze. It's so cold out today. So let me go ahead and finish this up, and I'll show you what it looks like in a few minutes. Okay, so we got that. I kind of just knocked the end of this off so it wasn't so sharp, and went ahead and got my line ground into it. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp it in the vise And I'm going to clamp it so that my vise is right below the part where we ground it. Clamp it tight. Then once you get it clamped, you should be able to take a hammer and stand back, because you don't want to get a shard of steel or anything in your eye, but you should be able to take the hammer and just give it a good whap and it should break. Just like that. And it didn't break where I wanted it to, but that's okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and deburr this thing, and I'll knock all the sharp edges off of it, and I'll show you what it looks like. These longer edges, the long narrow edges, I'm going to go ahead and keep a 90-degree edge on there. That way I can use it for a ferrule rod too if I want to, or I can use it as a scraper if I need to. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so we got our striker done. I went ahead and I just kind of rounded mine back a little bit on both ends, like so, and you know, it's just an old piece of file. I'm going to leave the file markings on the sides. It gives you a little bit of grip. Plus, you know, I suppose if you ever wanted to use it to file something down, it's got a universal purpose to it. Now the only other thing we got to do is I'm going to take this edge right here, which would be the striking edge, and I'm going to go ahead and grind off all the file markings on it, just real slowly. Like I said, you don't want to get this hot, because I want it smooth. I don't want it to be you know, a rippled edge. And I'm going to leave the file markings on this backside, because if I needed to use it to file something or whatever, I could. You know, like I said, it's multi-purpose. So let me go ahead and shine this striking edge up, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so to shine this edge up, we're just going to come back over to the grinder, and we're just going to slowly just grind the edge of it until all the file markings are out of it. So that's what we'll do next. Okay, so that's it. That's all we wanted to do. It's got a nice flat edge to it. It's a 90-degree edge on this edge, 90-degree edge on this edge. You know, we still got the file markings on this edge, so we could file with it this way. If we needed to, we could file with it on the big side, either side. We can scrape with it because it's got a nice sharp edge. If you were making a bow or something, you need a scraping tool, this would work just fine. There's all kinds of uses you can use. We can use a ferrule rod on it yet, because it's got that 90-degree edge. There's a lot of things you can do with a 90-degree edge. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get a piece of flint. Let's try it out. Okay, so I'm back. So we got our striker. We got our piece of flint. This is just a piece of flint from one of my flint knapping, some of my flint knapping rock, I should say. And we got our striker, or not our striker, our tin. So let's try this striker out anyways and see how it's going to work. Normally you put a piece of flint on top there. We'll test it out with char cloth here in a little bit, but let's see what kind of sparks we get from it. Let me back up here. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera or not. Let me try shutting this light off. This thing is making one heck of a, making some really good sparks. trying to watch the camera and do this at the same time. But yeah, definitely, that is definitely going to work for you. So there you go. Next thing we need to do is get some tinder. So let me go outside, and I got a natural tinder I want to show you guys. It's probably one of my favorite ones to use, and we'll go ahead and we'll collect some of that up, and then we'll come back and we will put it in the tin. And then after that, we're also going to get a few pieces of cotton rag, because even though I like natural tinder, it wouldn't hurt to have a few pieces of cotton rag in here too, already charred. And you can use that as a backup, because the cotton works really excellent, but you can't find cotton out in the wild. You know, you got to kind of remember that. So anyways, let's go outside and I'll show you the next little bit of charred tinder that I want to use. Keeping in mind that you can use charred punk wood too. So let's go outside and we'll be right back. Okay guys, so we're doing the fire kit, and it's just a flint and steel kit, and we're gonna put a little char cloth in it, but we're gonna use mostly all natural materials. The char cloth is gonna be in there just for an emergency, but I figured since we built the kit, I wanted to show you guys probably one of my most favorite tenders. And it's always around in the winter time, as long as it grows in your area. And well, here's the top of one right here, and it's pokeweed. And I'm not going to talk about the edibility properties or anything of this plant or nothing like that. I'm just showing you guys that pokeweed, if you see it in the summertime where it's growing and you remember where it's at, it's pretty easy to find. But even if you don't remember where it's at, it's pretty easy to recognize, you know, out in the woods when it's all dry and dead. But the thing about the pokeweed is that it has a material on the inside of it that makes great tender material for your flint and steel kit. And all you got to do is split this thing open, and it splits open relatively easy. You just work your way down it, and you got to dry it a little bit after you split it open. Well, actually, you don't have to dry it at all if you're just going to char it right away, which is usually what I do. But on the inside of this, after you peel this outside woody layer off, on the inside of this is a material that comes out, and it's, I almost want to say it's the pithy material of the inside of it, but it almost feels like styrofoam. And you know, you get a top like this and the stem itself, and you start peeling this stuff out, and there is a lot in here. I mean, a bunch, and you could just get it out of there and put it in your char tin and just char it. And this makes excellent material. I open it up and just use my fingers, and I just get it out of there. You don't have to be fancy about it or anything like that. But you know, this one came right off the ground. In fact, I'm gonna put this in my pocket and use it in my tin, put it right in my tin with my stuff. But anyways, yeah, you just peel it down and take it out. This is it's been raining, so this got wet, so it's not dry, but that's okay, because you could always dry it by the fire and then char it, or just char it the way it is, and it'll still work just fine. Yeah, it just comes out in nice big chunks, and you know, like I said, it's real styrofoamy, and it's just the pith on the inside of it. But anyways, thought I'd show you guys that. This is probably one of my most favorite tenders to use, especially if it's available. You know, it's almost easier than trying to go out and find punk wood. If you know where a couple of these are, you can collect it pretty fairly easy. So anyways, I'm going to collect a bunch of this up and get it ready for our char tin. Another thing to remember is if you were out and about and you're collecting this stuff, you don't necessarily have to take it right out of the stem right out in the field. You could just break the stems off and take the stems, the whole stem with you, and then collect it. Since I'm here, I will just collect it all out right now, and I'm just putting it in my pocket for now. It's pretty easy to get. You know, once you get it, you can just take your thumb and run it right down there. Try not to get it all on the ground. Just keep putting her in your pocket. And we're gonna leave that one alone. Try to keep the stuff to the top of this that's up and up on the ground, off the ground. It's a lot drier. I got a bunch of this around here, so it's not that big a deal. Yeah, if you peel it right, it just comes out like one nice big old hot dog. So yeah, and the stuff's really light, and you know, like I said, it's almost like styrofoam. Breaks apart real easy. This stuff's a little damp, but it'll dry out and it'll be just fine. So anyways, I about got a pocket full of it, so we're gonna call it good. Okay, so we're back in the garage, and this is some of the pokeweed pulp, I should say, that we collected up. And I also have some already in my tin that I collected a little bit earlier in the year, and it's already starting to turn brown. I hadn't charred it yet, but it's kind of turned a brown color, which is fine. You know, it's all the same material. But anyways, we're going to take this stuff and we're going to put it right in our tin and just fill it up. That's why reason I wanted the bigger tin, because now I can really keep a good amount of this stuff in here. In fact, I'm just going to set it down on here and dump it in. So we'll just dump it all in here, just like so. Hopefully this is all on camera. But anyway, so now we got a tin full of material that is ready to be charred. We will also take a pair of old jeans that are 100% cotton, and I'll cut them into squares, and I'll make a little spot in here, roll up, you know, half a dozen or so squares of or not roll up, but put in a half a dozen squares of cotton in here too. And then all we got to do is put the lid on, like so, making sure that our two holes, which you can't see from this angle, making sure that our two holes line up. That way, when we put the lid on, the two holes should line up. Just like so. Now that the holes are both lined up on top of each other, now gas can get out this little hole. We'll put this whole tin right onto the wood fire, and we'll just let it cook for a while. We'll let it cook until you don't see any gas coming out of here. And usually the gas, as it comes out, it'll burn off too at the same time. So it'll kind of like, you'll see a little bit of fire kind of like spouting out that little tiny hole. And when that quits, then it should be charred in there, and we can just start using it. So there you go. Let's I'm gonna put this in my wood burner in the house, and we'll char this, and we'll see what the heck happens. We'll try it out, but I think we're gonna have some really good results with it. So let me go in the house and we'll get to working on that. So here's the tin with all the material in it, and I'm just going to put the lid on it so that the holes line up. It's easier to do this with the holes already kind of lined up. Let me find my hole here. So we just line the holes up, and we'll put the lid on just like so, and there you go. Holes are all lined up. Now we're ready to go ahead and take it in the house and put it in the fire. So let's go in the house. So I'm basically just sitting in the house here. It's nighttime, and we're just gonna put it in the wood burner. low burning fire, so give it a half an hour or so and I'll check it and see if it's done. Well, you probably can't see it, but you can see the gas coming out of the little hole, so it must be working okay. Okay guys, we're to the point where the gas is about done coming out of the hole, so it's almost time to take it out of here. We're going to give it a few more minutes till you can stop seeing anything come out of the hole, and then we'll take it out and we will leave it cool before we open it up. Otherwise it could combust and turn into a small fire if you open it up too soon. Okay guys, I'm back out in the garage. We pulled it out of the wood burner and I left it sit and it's cooled off, and I haven't opened it yet, but we're going to open it now, and we'll go ahead and see how we fared out on it. This lid's a little tight. Actually, this lid's a lot tight. I'll have to sand down this lid just a little bit just to make it a little looser on here, because it doesn't need to be quite that tight, but that's not a big deal. Actually, if you have a pocket knife on you, you probably get it open fairly easy. Just like that. But anyways, so let's open this thing up. Take a look at it. See what we got going on in here. Well, let's see here. Try to get a camera angle so you guys can see it. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. The charred materials on top, which we could kind of put that all to the side. Pick it all up out of here. And then all of our charred pokeweed is right there. And yeah, it's all charred, it's all done. So that works out fine. This all looks pretty good. It's in good shape. Next thing, so now all we gotta do is basically just put it together and we'll have a kit. So being a Flint steel kit, obviously you're going to keep your steel striker in here, and you're going to keep a piece of flint in here of some sort. Another thing that I am going to keep in here is a glass magnifying lens. Will always stay in there now too. That way, on a sunny day, I don't have to use my flint or my steel. I can save the resource and just use the sun. So that's the reason that's there. But since we got this thing out, and I think I'm gonna start using this a lot more often now that I got this thing done. But since we got it out, we might as well try it out. So you can do this two ways, a couple different ways. You can hold the flint, put this down on something solid, which, let me go find something solid real quick. Okay, so let's I took the char cloth out of here. Let's go ahead and try to see how this pokeweed lights up. And there you go. It I don't know if you can see that or not, but it lit right on up. No problem at all. It like I said, it's one of my favorite things to use. So we'll go ahead and we'll put the char cloth back in, and I could actually add more pokeweed to this too as I find it, and you know, it doesn't even have to be charred. I can just kind of keep it in its own special spot, but I'd probably go ahead and char it and whatever. But okay, so then the other way you could also strike this is you can hold the flint like this, take a piece of, we'll use the pokeweed again, find a small piece here. It's a little trickier with the pokeweed than it is with charred cloth, but you can set it up on top there, kind of hold it, try not to get it to fall apart because it will fall apart. Actually, let's just use the char cloth. anyways, you can take the char cloth, put it up there, roll it up a little bit, and put it right here on this edge, and you get a fire pretty instantly. And yeah, it's glowing really good. So that's the other way to do it. We'll go ahead and put that out. But anyways, and put it back in here. Anyway, so yeah, I will probably be using this a little more often. Keep our steel in here, keep our piece of flint in here, and the other thing is our magnifying glass, which is going to start staying in here too. Which our magnifying glass is going in there too, right on top of the flint and the steel. It's getting capped. Okay, so I just wanted to say thank you, and if you liked the video, like, share, and subscribe. This is going to be the budget flint and steel kit, and if you're interested in flint and steel kits, I also have them on my website. Not that I'm trying to sell anything, but once in a while I try to put a little something in there. But anyways, it's ancientprimitivehunter.com if you want to go look at them. I got some hand-forged steel strikers and stuff like that on there too. So anyways, thank you. Thanks for watching, and keep on watching.